we'll do some Q&A afterwards. With that said, Chief Day.
Thanks, Mike. Good afternoon. Several years ago, when I was the Central Precinct Commander, I was walking up to a meeting up on Southwest Broadway, much like I did today. It was a little bit warmer, but it was one of these beautiful Portland afternoons. And I was standing at the corner of Broadway and Yamhill, and I was getting ready to head southbound, full uniform, and there was a lady standing next to me, and the light was still red for pedestrians to cross, and she just walked right across the street. And I'm thinking, I'm standing right here in full uniform, and what do I do about that? Because technically that's a violation of the law. And it occurred to me as I looked around, there was no traffic coming, there was no interference. She just used her discretion, went across the street. Now, the purpose of this story isn't to suggest that we should all just disregard traffic control devices. But what happened afterwards, for me, is the purpose of the story, is I recognized at that time that oftentimes as police officers, we're really skilled and adept at trying to identify what the issues and the problems are as they relate to the legality of people's behavior, which is what I do and expect our officers to do. But really, how do we know what to focus on? How do we know where the needs are? How do we know where to put our attention, especially in a time of such limited resources? Resources are people, time, and money, in my opinion. So at that point, I went back to finished my meeting on Broadway, and I went back and I met with the Central Precinct team. And I said, you know, we need to get to know the people of the city of Portland so that we can understand what their priorities are. And maybe they are people violating pedestrian control devices, but I imagine they might be more significant, number one. And number two, they might have more information that would lead to other problem-solving initiatives. So back when I was at Central Precinct, we launched a walking patrol in downtown and over in the southeast side, much like we're going to be announcing here today. And the direction seems a little bit counterintuitive, but the direction I'm asking from the members of the Police Bureau are to come out and simply be present, to just start with being engaged. This is in addition to the enforcement actions we're already taking. This is in support of our bike squads, our relationship with the Oregon State Police. But we are going to be increasing our presence in the downtown core for a period of time to try and reconnect with some of that ongoing relationship that is so vital in helping us to be able to understand how to better solve some of the challenges that we're facing. So from my position all the way on down, I'm asking all members of the organization to get out. We're going to have teams starting next couple of weeks, a couple of teams a day. Like I said, I'll be participating in that. My command staff will be participating in that. And this really aligns with my three primary goals. The number one of reducing crime and the fear of crime through community engagement. Walking patrols through all of policing history have always been one of the primary ways for us to connect with the community, both with business leaders, people living on the streets, citizens, volunteers, tourists, etc. It puts us on the ground, right next to folks on a daily basis. So this is consistent in reducing crime and the fear of crime because it also creates a police presence, which we know historically does deter criminal activity. I use the example of putting a police car on the side of I-5. You slow down when you see it. Secondly, around transparency and accountability, this makes us more available, more approachable, more transparent in our actions and our behaviors. And finally, around personal growth and development, I see this as an opportunity for our members to be encouraged because I know they're going to have positive experiences in interactions with community and get a chance to really emphasize our respect and desire for greater community engagement. So in a couple of weeks, right before the start of the holiday season, still finalizing a start date, we're going to be having a couple of teams a day, 2 to 4 officers a day, focusing in the downtown core, walking around, making themselves available. If they have to or see and engage in enforcement, that's acceptable, but that's not the mission, so I'm not expecting them to ignore what's happening around them. But my hope is that they will reestablish a connection with all members of the community and therefore maybe come up with some practical solutions to provide information back to us and our strategy for problem solving. Over that time period, we're going to continue to partner, as I said, with the bike squads and the state police. But I think this extra presence is going to really give us some new insight into the challenges that we're facing. With that, I think we're going to run this from first week before Thanksgiving until the 1st of January. We're going to do it specifically this time period so that we're covering the holiday season. I know how important the downtown shopping season is. I know that my wife and I like to be downtown. We want to be able to see the Christmas tree lighting or the other events that are occurring. So it's very intentional. We're going to be gathering data from this time period. We're going to be asking our members to record who they talk to. Record meaning just the number of people they talk to, not record like here's name and dates of birth, but just record the number of people they talk to. At the end of the day, we talk to 50 people, 100 people. And then we're also going to be working with our Strategic Services Division to see what kind of impact we may or may not be having on the crime numbers, on the calls for service, some of the traditional ways in which we measure how we are doing in our role as police officers. But primarily, my goal is to reestablish a greater police presence downtown, increase the belief and the real sense of public safety, and promote this really important time of year for our downtown businesses and downtown community. With that, Mike, we can turn it over to the mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you all for joining us today on a beautiful fall Portland day. And I also want to thank our assembled public safety folks and our clean and safe folks, people who work on livability. They do the hard work, and I just want to thank you all for showing up today. It means a lot. And I believe a couple of my commissioners are here. I saw Dan Ryan somewhere, Commissioner Dan. Dan Ryan's literally standing next to me, of course, and will be overshadowed all by the hawk. So, first of all, Chief Day, I want to thank you for outlining your vision and your continued commitment to making our city safer. And I, of course, want to welcome all of our partners who've joined us here today. We have folks representing business, hotels, and the retail community, and of course the hardworking people who do the livability work in downtown Portland. I want to thank you all. It goes without saying that the Central City has been a focus of my administration for a long time. My administration continues to implement our Central City Recovery Plan. It touches on a bunch of different areas, including community safety, economic development, homelessness, mental and behavioral health, as well as livability concerns. Today we're announcing an expansion of the plan to further the important work that we're doing. I hear from our downtown community every single day about the challenges they face. Standing here today with our partners, we're collaborating on steps to further address these challenges to ensure that our downtown is a clean, welcoming, and a safe place to visit. With regard to community safety, in addition to what the chief had mentioned, I'd like to take just a couple of moments to highlight what we're doing around community safety to ensure downtown's long-term recovery. The Portland Police Bureau has continued to have impressive recruiting numbers. These are numbers that actually defy some of the trends that other large cities are seeing around the nation. Last year, PPB hired a total of 154 sworn and unsworn safety staff, including 79 sworn officers, 19 public safety support specialists, and 51 professional staff members. So far, just this year, we've added 55 more sworn officers and 57 non-sworn employees, bringing us to a total of 261 hires at the Portland Police Bureau since 2022. This is a reflection of the very great work that the Portland Police Bureau's Human Resources Department has been doing. And I know we're all grateful for their substantial efforts to restaff our police bureau. This work is ongoing, and it's going to take some time to complete important training requirements, including the State Academy in Salem and the Advanced Academy here in the city of Portland. However, while that training is underway, I'm pleased with Chief Day's plans to maximize the resources that we currently have in our city. I also greatly appreciate the added capacity that we've recently received from the Oregon State Police Patrol to be a force multiplier with the Portland Police. I'd like to thank Governor Kotek for this partnership. It's brought 5 Oregon State police officers to join with our downtown bike squad on regular patrols, helping expand our regular resources. The early success of this collaboration demonstrates why our request for more Oregon State Police is necessary and the positive impact that it will have on our community. We continue to seek additional state resources to expand law enforcement's ability to make a lasting impact. If we can have the kind of results that we're seeing with 5 state police working alongside PPB, think what we could do with 5 or 6 or 7 times that level of support. With the added capacity brought by OSP, PPB's Downtown Bike Squad has strengthened their already stellar work. So far this year, the Bike Squad has made over 300 arrests, with 90 of those being for serious drug charges. Conducted 7 retail theft missions, resulting in 32 arrests. Seizing over 200,000 fentanyl pills and issuing almost 600 citations for possession of a controlled substance. Likewise, the Portland Police Bureau and regional safety partners have conducted multiple retail theft missions targeting organized retail theft in the downtown area as well as in other parts of the city of Portland. We're partnering with the District Attorney's Office to add dedicated prosecutors whose focus will be on prosecuting these cases and making sure that they stand up in court. To emphasize our commitment to safety in downtown, the city has partnered with our good friends at Downtown Clean and Safe and other public and private sector stakeholders to establish a new hotel safety district, which adds 8 additional private security patrols with further 24/7 coverage in key areas of our downtown. Earlier this year, the City of Portland, through our City Council, allocated $6.3 million of funding for improved private security in city-owned and smart park garages. We're also finalizing a contract with our service provider Urban Alchemy, who manages 3 shelter sites in the City of Portland currently. We're looking at their team to provide community engagement as well as outreach services downtown, a program that we're hoping to launch next year. So I want to be clear, this isn't all about law enforcement. We're also seeking important ways to reach out to people in need on our streets and connect them with the services they need to get the help they need. With regard to downtown investments, I want you to know that there's a lot of positive things developing. Downtown Portland has seen exciting new investments and new openings just in the last couple of months. In fact, just the last couple of weeks. As far as exciting new culinary opportunities, we recently celebrated the opening of Din Tai Fung's newest location at Pioneer Place. If you haven't been, you are missing out. In the retail space, Kokoro PDX and Portland Gear recently opened new spaces just blocks away from where we're standing right here. And tomorrow, of course, we're going to celebrate the grand opening of the Ritz-Carlton, which is a $600 million investment in the future of our city. I'd also like to take this opportunity to renew my call to downtown employers to bring your employees back to the office at least 20 hours per week, a step that the city took back in April of this year. One of the fastest things we can do to activate and improve our city is to have employees come back to work in the downtown core. The city has found tremendous value in bringing our employees together in the office, collaborating and connecting with one another, and quite frankly, having fun together. We're seeing a great deal of interest in the newly created Downtown Business Incentive Tax Credit Program for lease renewals, as well as the expansion of the Enterprise Program for employers making significant new capital investments in our city. Thank you to the many employers and the great organizations who demonstrated resilience by operating in our central city and by committing to our community's recovery. Over the next few months, with the holiday season fast approaching and the weather to match it, downtown is going to host a variety of really exciting events. Many are going to be right here in the heart of downtown, including the Portland Book Festival, the annual tree lighting ceremony, the Portland Holiday Brew Fest, and across the central city, Prosper Portland and Downtown Clean and Safe are sponsoring pop-up retail shops for the holiday season. Always something that our residents look forward to here in the city of Portland. And finally, the popular Portland Winter Lights Festival will again be making a return with tens of thousands of Portlanders activating our city. The city's Public Environment Management Office, or PEMO, continues to clean up trash and graffiti while activating new spaces throughout the city. Since October of last year, the city has cleaned well over 300,000 square feet of graffiti. That's over 6 football fields, for those of you who translate into that metric. Much of this work is taking place again right here in the central downtown core. PEMO continues to partner with Downtown Portland Clean and Safe, as well as the Old Town Community Association, to add more street lighting, increasing nighttime safety around the city. A lot of people think it's just for decoration, and it does look beautiful. We get lots and lots of comments about the lights, particularly the ones in the trees, but it's also made a noticeable impact with regard to public safety. This work has lit 75 city blocks, expanding to 1,000 trees and 6 of our downtown parks. We're continuing to build on these efforts and make sure that our downtown is vibrant and safe. Now I'm going to transition to the city's daytime camping ordinance. I've spoken extensively about the humanitarian catastrophe that is the hundreds of unsanctioned, sometimes dangerous, and often squalid homeless camps. We can do better for our vulnerable Portlanders. In June, the Portland City Council amended City Code to update public camping policies, putting us in compliance with House Bill 3115. I've been very clear. My stated goal is to have no unsanctioned camping anywhere in the city of Portland. But that means we also have to provide humane alternatives for those in need on our streets. The city did not begin enforcement of the time, place, manner ordinance initially or immediately. Instead, we made it clear that we wanted to take the time, and we have months since June, focusing on an education campaign to inform the public about the changes and how enforcement would actually work. We committed to providing a 2-week notice before beginning enforcement of that ordinance. This is that 2-week notification. Beginning on November 13th, the Portland Police Bureau will be authorized to enforce the ordinance. However, they will do so in coordination with our Street Services Coordination Team. Importantly, this enforcement will take time and a great deal of collaboration amongst the Portland Police Bureau and the Street Services Coordination Team, so we ask for your patience as well as your understanding as we navigate this complex issue upon the rollout of the program. It is important not to call 911 to report camps unless there is a life-threatening issue, a life safety issue. Do not call 911 just to report a camp. The best way to report unsanctioned camps will continue to be via the 311 line or the PDX reporter. This will ensure the fastest and the most appropriate response. As we've noted, those who violate the ordinance will be given 2 written notices before a citation or arrest could occur. For more information on the ordinance, I encourage people to visit portland.gov/Wheeler. It's important to stress that we are not focusing on the enforcement of this ordinance alone. The city continues to make progress on the first of our temporary alternative shelter sites or tasks at the Clinton Triangle. It opened in late July, and it now provides shelter to over 180 people. Every one of the individuals in that task site have found safety, stability, and a chance to connect with caseworkers and service providers, something they did not have the opportunity to do previously. The goal is for every individual at this task site the opportunity to stabilize and develop a long-term housing and health plan. The second and third task sites are under development, and we recently announced that the second task site will be located on North Portland Road. This site will add an additional 200 spaces to Portland's shelter continuum. Downtown Portland is the heart of our community, and that's why we're all standing out here today. I'll continue fighting for our residents, for our business owners, and for visitors until my very last day in office. I will not allow criminal activity to take over our city. I'd like to offer my appreciation once again to all of the partners who've joined here today. And now I'd like to introduce Andrew Hone, who's the President and CEO of the Portland Metro Chamber.
Good afternoon. The mayor truly said it all, but I'm here to announce that we promise that everybody who comes into downtown will experience this weather while you are shopping in downtown. And as soon as you leave, we'll revert to our standard rainy conditions at this time of year. Thank you all so much for being here. This truly is the type of occasion we all celebrate as businesses, as residents, when we talk about the thing that we know is the priority for our economy and for this city. You're standing today in Directors Park, and I think a symbol of the beginning of the revitalization of this center city. And I say that because Downtown Portland Clean and Safe has been investing in the enhanced services thanks to an incredible partnership with Commissioner Dan Ryan that started the private enhanced service district services here in this beautiful place and make it possible for people like Chumba, who's here with us today and is opening his store right here in the glass kiosk starting shortly. So please. I would say I was going to make a joke about it being a new day here, but we are thrilled that Chief Day is taking over and has brought the perspective of bringing police onto the streets and into our businesses and communities the way that he has. We are thrilled, we are grateful, and we are supportive of the Chief's work here and his vision for bringing safety services to our community. So Chief, we've got your back, good luck, and we're here with you. And with that, I'm here to let you know that it's not just what the public sector can do for our community. The private sector is responding to these sorts of perspectives and investments, and it's important to understand that there is so much more than just what our public safety officers can do. The mayor mentioned that starting on October 1st, a hospitality district has been set up in our center city, where both police and, of course, private security will be making the rounds. And this is 2 added staggered shifts from mid-afternoon to the evening until the early hours of the morning in the downtown core. Each of those shifts adds 4 additional public safety officers between the hours of 6 p.m. and midnight. To overlap, these officers means we have 8 public safety officers overall alongside our regular shift folks. This makes a difference for the visitors that come to our city. And let's talk about street outreach. Downtown Portland Clean and Safe has also invested in making sure that our unhoused and unsheltered neighbors going through mental health and chemical addiction crises are supported. We're joined by 2 representatives of the Hope Van and Bybee Lakes who are on the streets Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., making sure those in need can navigate to critical services. And of course, everybody's favorite resident of downtown, the Hawk. You may be wondering, why is there a hawk at a press conference? Well, of course there'd be a hawk. It's Portland, and we do things differently here. But there's more than challenges to bus public safety. We know that crows pose an imminent threat to our livability here in the center city during the winter months, and because of that, the private sector is stepping up and will be releasing, as of November 1st, Neil Patrick the Harris, yes, that's its name, to patrol the streets and to make sure that not only are you safe on the ground with our added investments in public safety that you've heard today, but above as well. And past that, the private sector is responding. Starting on November 8th, 9 new pop-up stores will be emerging in the center city to add to the retail vitality that you see in and around you every single day. Our stores make up the fabric of our community and make it so unique, and it is because of these independent retailers that visitors and shoppers will have more options here in the center city starting on November 8th, and we couldn't be more excited. And I'll just close with this. Public safety has been a hidden tax for far too long. It has driven up the cost of operating a business, about living and enjoying the center city. And that's not fair to anybody. We need accountable public safety and you're hearing the commitments right here. The private sector is responding, and we know that the brightest days of downtown Portland's future are ahead of us. And we just want to say thank you to the work of the mayor, his entire team, to the incredible investments by our travel community. I know Travel Portland is here with us today. This is a community affair. It will take all of us to get this city to the place that we know where it can be. With that, thank you all, and we'll see you in downtown Portland.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew, have you thought about stand-up comedy? You would be really good. All right, the mayor and the chief have a tight schedule, about 10 minutes for Q&A, so we'll take some Q&A right now. Gentlemen, you want to come up?
Yeah, you want to cover that, Mayor? No, you were at the same meeting. So, yes, I did just come from the task force meeting this morning and heard a report out from several subcommittees they had, including public safety. I don't want to steal all their thunder, but a lot of the conversation is very much in line with what we're talking about right here. Renewed emphasis around a commitment to supporting more Portland police officers, the need for more addiction services, more opportunity to help people that are in crisis. I'm really was encouraged and motivated by it, but I know that the governor is going to have some announcements coming out, and I just got a brief overview. I did speak with the chair of the Public Safety Committee specifically. They're going to send me their direct recommendations, so I'll have a chance to look at them. I just was at the first meeting today.
Mr. Mayor, even with the extra TAP site coming online, there's still thousands of shelter beds short for the Camping Bay. What do you say to people who say that this enforcement is the beginning of the coldest and wettest months in Portland?
So the enforcement will be sequential. I've committed previously that we're not going to do blanket enforcement until we have sufficient alternative locations for people. The Police Bureau will be using it selectively in a strategic manner to emphasize those areas that are the most problematic. But at the end of the day, the goal for me is to make sure we do have adequate shelter. And that's the whole point behind not only the task sites, but the Safe Rest Villages. The task sites, for the first time, have us addressing the problem at the scale necessary, and not just by providing shelter, but also connecting it with intense staffing, case management, and pathways to housing. And that pathway to housing for a lot of people includes substance use disorder treatment, includes behavioral health. Others, it's job training. Others still, it's basic health care issues or connections to benefits that people are entitled to but don't know that they're connected to. And so far, the work at the first task site suggests that it is going to be successful. It's now fully staffed. It is now fully occupied. 44 people at last count are now stabilized and ready for housing. So the model is already validated. Now it's the job of all of us, the city, county government, the state government. Let's build these things to scale and help get people off the streets.
Getting back to logistics around the daytime camping ban, what type of training has been provided to officers over the past few months? What type of resources do they have in real time to evaluate what is available to link these people with the help they need? And then finally, how will you track those written notices, knowing that it will require 2 before citations are issued?
Kyle, you should come work for the Police Bureau, because those are all great questions that I've been asking in my 10 days on the job. So I'm not going to say just because I'm new here I don't have all your answers, but because I'm new here I don't have all your answers. But the reality is, but all of those are very specific that we'll be diving into. I know that the operations branch has been preparing for this, and we have been working and educating our people to be able to, manage and work with our partners. Fortunately, I know that we have a long history of already stepping into this space. I mean, I can go back a decade of more when I was leading Central Precinct, and we were trying to get our arms around what it looked like to deal with camping, high-impact camping. And so I'm confident that going forward, we're going to have those answers for you. I just don't have them right now because, once again, I'm a little bit new to the game. Stephanie's got those answers? Okay, you see, I always got a good friend.
Yeah, I can provide a little bit more about that. The Police Bureau has been working with the Street Services Coordination Center team to create a protocol for that. They will be working directly with them so that there is not necessarily any kind of separation between what we're doing to clean encampments, to do outreach, and that piece at the end of enforcement if it's needed. So they've been working together these last few months to develop what that looks like and to make sure that the officers who are involved are closely in coordination with the people conducting the team at our Street Services Coordination Center.
Those officers who are closely involved, though, will they be ready to go in 2 weeks and have all the information that's necessary to enforce?
Yes.
I'm confident. I'm confident we can get there, Kyle. I mean, Stephanie and I talked about this last week as I was coming on board. Once again, you know, my understanding at this point is that we've been working closely with these partnerships already. So this is an added step, obviously. We want to make sure that we're in line with the purpose of the ordinance, and I do echo the mayor's comments about a little grace as we ramp up, but I'm confident we can get there. Yes.
So part of the plan that you announced today is bringing in more patrol officers to Central City.
Correct.
Are they being brought, how will this impact other neighborhoods in the city, or where are these officers coming from?
Right, that's a great point. So we've made this available. I'm actually appealing bureau-wide. So, you know, I anticipate that we're going to see officers from other divisions that we're going to be engaging. As I mentioned, you know, from my position on down, I'm going to be putting time on my calendar to be out and about. So this is really an organizational effort. This isn't going to be, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul. We are really going to be trying to activate all that we have. You know, I see the organization in its entirety of 800 and some odd sworn officers, and so my desire is to maximize the availability of all of us to have an impact. And then not just here, but as we evaluate, this is going to be my message going forward really holistically as I look at the city in general, whether it be around walking beats or other initiatives.
And why only run those patrols until January?
Well, a couple things. One, it is the most, in policing, your foot patrols are your most expensive and they cover the least amount of area, right? So when I talk about resources, time, money, and people, it's a finite amount. As the other question about how do you manage the rest of the priorities that are coming in. So I want to do this at this time of year, specific to the holiday season, specific to downtown with our other safety initiatives, but then reevaluate and see, is it being effective? What is the results? And then see if we can mimic it in other places. But it is a constant managing of priorities for us.
So if the results are successful, would you possibly extend it?
Yeah, I mean, if the results are successful, I'm all about building on good work, right? So it's just going to be, like I said, a matter of looking at whether or not we continue to do so organization-wide, whether or not we have the funding, et cetera. But, you know, I'm hopeful that if it's working well and it's something we can build upon, I'm all about that. And I think there's a lot of areas you can do it besides downtown. We have a lot of vibrant communities that would welcome this, I know.
One question, they have a hard out.
Excuse me?
Regarding the time frame and ordinance, are you expecting to enforce that reactively or proactively, or officers going to enforce things as they see them, or are they going to respond to complaints?
Well, my expectation probably the way it'll play out is going to be more complaint driven. But one of my passions in this role is to be more creative than reactive. So we're going to be having those discussions. Is there an opportunity for the officers to intersect earlier in terms of just providing that warning, providing that education versus waiting to be called upon? But my belief is, just based upon what I know of the current system, it'll probably be more complaint driven. But we hopefully will be able to get to a place where we see an opportunity to make contact earlier on our own. What do we got? One more, Mike?
One more.
One more?
Question for the mayor, if you would please. Now that we are in the enforcement stage of the daytime camping ban, it prohibits specifically no gas heaters or fires. With temperatures being what they are in the overnight hours, first, why is that important, and is that even humane?
It's important and it's humane. Right now, I am told that the Portland Fire and Rescue, that about half of the structural fires they respond to are in homeless camps. We have a fire on average every single day in an unsanctioned homeless camps. We've also had fires immediately adjacent to buildings where people live. And so my strong preference is let's get people out of the unsanctioned camps. Let's not have them build campfires in dangerous areas. Let's get them into a controlled, safe, stable environment where they can gain access to help and the rest of the community is not put at risk. So yes, I think it's safe. I think it's humane. I think it is absolutely the right thing to do.
Mayor Wheeler, are you describing a house when you say a humane place that is...
Well, for me, the task sites would be an example of a humane alternative. They're actually pods. They have heating. They have air conditioning, they have access to services and case management, they have access to food, they have access to other community services. So for me, that's much better than living in a potentially dangerous, squalid, and unsafe environment. And that unsafe environment's only exacerbated when people do things like turn on stoves inside their tent. I mean, we don't have to do much of a Google search to find a really, really awful situation last winter where somebody did just that, and it cost them their life.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If you have any follow-up, you can email the mayor's team or Portland Police. Thanks.
Hi, Mayor K2, good to see you.
Likewise.
Can I just ask you a couple quick questions? Also, first
How's
of all,
my hair?
I don't think amazing. TV ready and better than mine. I don't think I got your last name, by the way.
Hone, H-O-A-N. Here, I think I don't have a card on me.
That's
Sorry.
okay. So yeah, tell me, obviously we've heard a lot about things being done at the city level, police level. Do you think this is enough to address the homeless and renters what we're talking about downtown right now?
Well, I think it's a start, and it's a start in the right direction, because I think we need all of these resources to kickstart revitalization of downtown. So every single part helps, but we know it's not just on the city, and it's not just on the business community. We need, like the mayor mentioned, even more state officers' presence in downtown, because it's making a noticeable impact. So as we learn about the impacts of those sorts